That is so important. Instead of, hey, where's our dang supplies? It's their fault. It's like, no, actually, it's my fault. And then he says this: forward units must anticipate needs and ask for supplies in time. They must stand ready to use all their means to help move supplies. The supply service must get the things asked for to the right place at the right time. They must do more. By reconnaissance, they will anticipate demands and start the supplies up before they're called for. So this is what's interesting. You see, both sides have to take extreme ownership of the delivery of the supplies. And what you get is interlocking fields of fire, interlocking and overlapping fields of fire, which is exactly what you want.
Yeah.
Meaning, overlapping fields of fire, meaning I'm shooting to the northwest and you're shooting also. Part of your coverage is to the northwest, but then you're getting a little bit more to the east too. Right. So we're both looking and we're overlapping fields of fire. Mm-hmm. That's what we want. And that's what, when you have extreme ownership on both sides, you get overlapping fields of fire, which means the chances of something being missed are less because the fields of fire are overlapping.
It's both got it covered.
I've never said that before.
It's good. Yeah, because even fields of fire overlapping, almost like...
I'm going to clean up that analogy, and that's going to end up being a very powerful analogy.
Yeah. It's like you both got it covered, you know?
You both got it covered. I say something close to it a lot, which is, I say, look, when everyone in the chain of command is taking ownership of the problems get solved. Yeah. There's more to it than that. Because when you take ownership of the problem, and I take ownership of the same problem, there's overlapping fields of fire, and we will kill that problem because you're going to see it from your angle. Maybe you get 80% of it solved. I got that other 20%.
Yeah. It's like doubly insured.
Yes. And then it says this: the desperate determination to succeed is just as vital to supply as it is to the firing line. The desperate determination. Meaning, the guys in the front line, we know their lives are in danger. Supply has to have the same attitude.
Yeah.
Logistics wins wars. They got a chunk in here on replacements. They got a chunk in here on hospitals. They got a chunk in here on decorations. Decorations are for the purpose of raising the fighting value of troops. Therefore, they must be awarded promptly. Have a definite officer on your staff educated in writing citations and see that they get through. Boy, we don't do a good job of this anymore. The awards process is painful. Next section's on discipline. Anyways, going back to decorations real quick. That means when you're running a business, when you're running a team, and someone does something well, recognize them for it. Quickly, promptly. It means something. The next section is called discipline, which we're definitely fond of. There's only one kind of discipline, perfect discipline. If you do not enforce and maintain discipline, you are potential murderers. You must set the example. Check. Believe me, Patton is into discipline. We're going to read another section he goes into. That's all he's got in it here. Next section, rumors. Reports based on information secured through reconnaissance conducted after dark should be viewed with skepticism. The same thing applies to reports from walking wounded and stragglers. These latter seek to justify themselves by painting alarming pictures. Boy, that's a very astute observation, right? Okay, guys that are coming back that are wounded or walking wounded or stragglers, they're telling like it's so bad.
Right.
Because they don't want to look bad.
Yeah.
He says it is risky and usually impossible to move reserves during darkness on every call for help. Units cannot be wholly destroyed in a night attack. They must stick. Launch your counterattack after daylight and subsequent to adequate reconnaissance and see that it's coordinated. That's a good one. But what that basically means is, to me, when you defeat someone, you need to go in there and like finish it off 100%. Condition, and by that he means conditioning, and by that he means physical conditioning. High physical condition is vital to victory. There are more tired corps and division commanders than there are tired corps and divisions. Fatigue makes cowards of us all. Men in condition do not tire. And the last one is courage. Do not take counsel of your fears, which he seems to write that all the time, and there's a good reason for it. You're going to be afraid. Don't listen to it. Don't negotiate with it. Signed, Lieutenant General, U.S. Army Commanding. Okay, so that was letter of instruction number 1. And now we're going to jump into, this one came out a little bit later, letter of instruction number 2. This letter stresses those tactical and administrative usages which combat experience has taught myself and the officers who have served under me to consider vital. And then it says, you will not simply mimeograph this and call it a day. You are responsible that these usages become habitual in your command. Even in war, 1944, we're getting ready to invade France and fight the Nazis. We're going to embark on the largest assault ever in the history of the world. That's what we're doing. And guess what? He's still saying, look, you can't just mimeograph this and call it. So even then, even with all that, you got officers that are like, okay, hey, the boss put out some word here, you can read it. Okay. No. This idea of, hey, just putting out the word being enough, this reflects what he said last time about 10%, 90%. 10% is giving the order. 90% is personally ensuring it gets done. Taking ownership of it. That's what he's talking about. That is exactly what he's talking about. Okay, so he starts it off with that. Then he goes right into discipline, which, as I said, he's a believer in the power of discipline. So he says there's only one sort of discipline, perfect discipline. I'm reading it kind of without much vigor because I've read it before. He says it all the time. I'm going to read it again with vigor because it deserves some. There is only one sort of discipline, perfect discipline. Men cannot have good battle discipline and poor administrative discipline. Oh, imagine that. You can't just be all lackadaisical back behind in garrison doing the administrative stuff and then expect you're going to have discipline when it's for combat-related subjects. You got to have it across the board. Good. Discipline is based on pride and the profession of arms, on meticulous attention to details, and on mutual respect and confidence. Discipline must be a habit so ingrained that it is stronger than the excitement of battle or the fear of death. Check. Have you ever seen the movie Soldier? Soldier. Oh, this could be a good one. You're going to have to go watch this one tonight.
Yeah. Who's in that? Or which one is that?
The movie is called Soldier. It stars a famous guy. And I can't think of his name right now. But he was in Tombstone. And it's not. He looks kind of like Patrick Swayze.
Val Kilmer?
No, he's real famous. He's a really famous actor.
Well, so Tombstone, that was Kurt Russell?
Yes, Kurt Russell. Okay, so Kurt Russell's in this movie, Soldier. You got to watch this movie. Yeah. This movie is a really good movie. Okay. Think about what I'm saying right now. Yeah. This movie's a really good, and it's not only surprising that I'm saying that, because it's like a sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I did.
It's a sci-fi movie. It's pretty, on the surface, you go, okay. You can it's the kind of movie you'd flip through in the video store and be like, whatever, it looks just like any other cheesy movie. Uh-huh. It's a good movie. Yeah. Soldier. At one point in the movie, so he's this guy that's been fighting wars his whole life, and they're being replaced by cybernetic soldiers. Mm-hmm. And so he gets sent to a space junkyard. And on the space junkyard, there's people that kind of live there that have their own little society. And he shows up there and he starts trying to, long story, but at one point, this woman asks asks him, because he's just like a perfect soldier, right?
Sure.
At one point, this woman, she says something along the lines of, do you ever feel anything? And he says, I think he says, yes, sir. He calls everyone sir, even females.
Yeah.
I think he says something along the lines of, yes, sir. Fear and discipline. Yes! Yes!
Sounds like your kind of movie.
Yes. And the other cool thing about this movie, the movie has, like, I want to say the first half an hour, there's no speaking. There's no dialogue. They're showing the kids being selected and trained. Mm. So the kid that can't keep up with the run, they kill him.
Dang, bro.
This is like my dream society.
All right. There you go.
So I'm going to go watch this tonight if I can.
I guess I will too. And shoot.
Yeah. You're going to love this movie.
Well, yeah, I'm familiar with it, actually. So when you said the sci-fi, I was like, okay, I think I know which one you're talking about.
The bad kind of marginal special effects and stuff.
Yeah.
They need to remake that movie with me in it. Hey, they have tattoos. I think they have tattoos either on their arm or on their face. Oh, they have their rank on their face, but then they have tattoos of
like the barcode or something.
They have a barcode, but then they have the tattoos of the campaigns in which they've served.
Oh, no.
It's legit. So, fear and discipline. That's what life is as a soldier. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, you're afraid, but guess what? You have discipline. You overcome it. And according to Patton, discipline must be a habit so ingrained that it's stronger than the excitement of battle or the fear of death. And if you think about, just think about that word excitement, right? That doesn't only apply to battle. Think if you can have enough discipline that when there's stressful situations occurring around you, you have the discipline to be able to take a step back and detach instead of getting wrapped up in it. Mm-hmm. That's discipline. Mm. Everyday life. He continues on talking about discipline. The history of our invariably victorious armies demonstrates that we are the best soldiers in the world. This should make your men proud. This should make you proud. This should imbue your units with unconquerable self-confidence and pride in demonstrated ability. Discipline can only be obtained when all officers are so imbued with the sense of their awful obligation to their men and to their country that they cannot tolerate negligence. Officers who fail to correct errors or to praise excellence are valueless in peace and dangerous misfits in war. Boom.
Yeah, it's good.
Think about that. Have you ever heard leadership described as an awful obligation? That is the most exquisite choice of words that I've heard in a long time. That's what it is. An awful obligation to their men and their country. Continues on, officers must assert themselves by example and by voice. They must be preeminent in courage, deportment, and dress. One of the primary purposes of discipline is to produce alertness. A man who is so lethargic that he fails to salute will fall easy victim to an enemy. Combat experience has proven that ceremonies such as formal guard mounts, formal retreat formations, and regular and supervised reveille formations are a great help and, in some cases, essential to prepare men and officers for battle, to give them that perfect discipline, the smartness of appearance, that alertness without which battles cannot be won. So he's all into that.
What is reveille formation?
Reveilles wake up. When we had Jolan from the French Foreign Legion, what they call appel. That's reveille and wake up and get in line. And retreat, formal retreat formation. A retreat formation is putting down the flag, like is the end of the day. Hey, we're done for the day. So even when you're in garrison, you do that formally.
Right. Okay. So
by the way, none of this stuff, you never do any of this stuff in the SEAL teams.
Yeah.
Like barely ever. When the only time we'll do it is like if something's gone on, a bunch of guys get in trouble, all of a sudden they'll start saying, all right, we're going to meet every morning. And everyone goes, oh, come on.
Right.